paid informational program. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff, management, or advertisers of WOBL Radio.
It's time for the NordCast here on WOBL, and here's your host, Nord Center CEO Don Schiffbauer.
Hi, everybody, and Happy New Year. I hope your winter holidays were a blast and that you're getting back to a regular routine. I know that after the holidays, I am ready to get back in a routine myself. My name is Don Schiffbauer. I'm the CEO for the Nord Center. And as I've stated on podcasts in the past, we are a community behavioral health center serving Lorain County for well over 75 years. And we also have a footprint in Huron County. We've got 5 major service lines. We include comprehensive behavioral health for child and adolescents, comprehensive behavioral health for adults. We are also the county seat for rape crisis and sexual assault, both for adults and child and adolescents. We are the largest provider of residential services for the county for people suffering from severe and persistent mental illness. And as I'll talk about here shortly, we are also the county seat for the crisis hotline and mobile crisis response unit. And most of you should have heard by now the 988. 988 is a new federal initiative designed to be the 911 for mental health and substance use disorder emergencies. You can dial 988 anywhere in the country and be connected to one of many call centers across our nation, including right here in Lorain County. Those calls go directly to the Nord Center right there on South Broadway, where we will get you connected to resources and whether you are in our service area or for those people calling that might be routed to us as a result of a backup call, we'll recognize where they're at and get them connected to the appropriate resources in their place. So 988 on your phone, just like 911, but for behavioral health and substance use disorders emergency. If you have questions about 988, you can go to, you can Google 988, you can go to our website and find out more information. Speaking of crisis services, I want to give the public an update on where we're at with the new Lorain County Crisis Receiving Center. Believe it or not, bulldozers are moving dirt and backhoes are moving it all over the place. We have actual groundbreaking at our center. And if you drive past our building on South Broadway, you will see what we're doing is we're starting off with a temporary drive. We've got the fence put up so that we can start taking down trees and construction can begin on the actual building itself. The Lorain County Crisis Receiving Center is a partnership with the Mental Health Addiction and Recovery Services Board of Lorain County, along with our friends over at the Lakota Way. And it is to serve a couple of purposes. It will serve as a behavioral health and substance use disorder emergency room where we will have 16 beds, actually not beds, recliners, for people suffering or experiencing a behavioral health or substance use disorder emergency 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then the second floor will have 16 beds of chemical and alcohol detox, which is desperately needed within our county as we've got some good providers that provide that services, but we know that there always needs to be more. That Crisis Receiving Center is going to be about a 20-month build, and we anticipate opening our doors and serving the public in summer of 2025. The last thing I'll mention before we take a quick break and talk to our guests is that if you're looking for a career in behavioral health, you can go to our website at nordcenter.org/careers, and there are a number of positions, both entry-level and licensed clinical personnel that you can apply for. And we do have flexible schedules. So for those of you that need to work around life or work around school, we do have 24/7 positions available. So please, nordcenter.org/careers, go there and check it out, and we'd be happy to talk to you about it. In a little bit, we're going to come back and talk with 2 guests, Leigh and David, and we're going to explore the area of peer support specialists. So stick around and we'll be right back.
Feeling stuck because of your criminal record? Get unstuck with Opportunity Port.
I wanted a better job and a safer place to live. Opportunity Port helped me seal my criminal record, and now background checks don't hold me back.
Apply for criminal record sealing through your phone today and get on with your life. Visit opportunityport.org to learn more.
The process is free. What are you waiting for?
Sponsored by Opportunity Port in cooperation with OAB and this station.
I wanted to quit for so long, but I didn't know where to start.
I was afraid of what people would think, but then I found the right support to start my recovery journey.
I found a path that worked for me.
1 in 14 Americans reports experiencing a substance use disorder, a treatable medical condition. Treatment can take many forms, so there are a variety of options to explore and find the one that works best for you. Recovery from drug addiction is possible. Visit cdc.gov/stopoverdose to learn more about the various paths to recovery.
Have you transformed your life in the years since being convicted of a crime? A pardon could help expand your career choices and increase volunteer opportunities. You could join fellow Ohioans who have received a pardon with free support from our experts. Learn more at ohioexpeditedpardon.org. That's ohioexpeditedpardon.org. Sponsored by the Ohio Governor's Expedited Pardon Project in cooperation with OAB and this station.
A fraction of a raindrop. 3 grains of salt. At up to 100 times more potent than morphine, the tiniest amount of illegal fentanyl is all it takes to cause an overdose. Fentanyl can be mixed into heroin, cocaine, pressed pills, meth, and other drugs. It could be in your drugs, and you wouldn't be able to see it, taste it, or smell it. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
All right, and for those of you that were just listening and heard the commercial, it's a great segue into our topic today. Our topic today is peer support specialist for behavioral health and substance use disorder. And I am happy to welcome 2 guests. First, Leigh Limongi from our colleagues at Let's Get Real, and I'll let you talk a little bit about yourself and Let's Get Real and what they do for our community. And then also David Blaine, one of our peer support specialists that works in our residential department at the Nord Center. But first, Leigh, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what goes on at Let's Get Real?
Sure. Thank you. My name is Leigh Limongi, and I'm a peer supporter for Let's Get Real, which is a recovery community organization in Lorain County. We also have an office in Huron County in Norwalk also. And what we do is we help people get into treatment, detox, anything, IOP, anything to help them with their recovery.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about what triggers a peer response or a peer support specialist response and why that's so helpful for people seeking additional treatment. David, would you do us a favor and tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do in our residential department?
How you doing? My name is David Blaine, and I'm a peer support specialist for the Nord Center, strictly for residential services right now. And I offer peer support to our residents and our, some of our independent clients as well. And I run some groups at the Nord Center and also do a lot of one-on-one peer support.
Thanks, David. So I know people in our audience, or maybe people that are listening to the podcast a little later, are probably scratching their head or asking the question, all right, I just met 2 peer support specialists. What does a peer support specialist actually do? So, Leigh, why don't you take that question first?
Well, basically, we are people with learned experience. So we have been through what the client is going through, and we...
So you have experience, lived experience.
Yes.
So, for me as a clinician, or if I were providing counseling services, I may have studied chemical, alcohol abuse, or mental health issues, but me personally, I've never actually experienced that. But as a peer support specialist, not only do you participate in the client's care, but you also bring a perspective that you're able to identify with that client, correct?
Yes, I can use my experiences to help them. Pretty much.
And especially for people that are coming in the midst of a crisis, they may not necessarily be receptive to the information that they're getting. And you, as a peer support specialist, having been through that acute or emergent phase, can appreciate what they're going through and help tailor the services or address the needs that they may be going through that somebody without lived experience might not be able to.
Yes, and it really does put them at ease. I work at the harm reduction clinic.
And we're going to talk about that a little later.
Okay, and you can see that as soon as they find out that I'm a peer supporter, they just relax. They come in nervous and uncomfortable and embarrassed a little bit, and as soon as they find out that I've been there and I've done that, they open up to me. They're more comfortable. They're not embarrassed about it. And then we go from there. Hopefully, I can get them into treatment.
Sure. So being able to talk to somebody that has that lived experience can help ease that tension. But also, you're almost taking a page out of NASA's book. You know, when astronauts are talking to NASA Control, they talk to astronauts because it's helpful to have people of like experiences to talk to people with like experiences. So peer support specialists, having them available to talk to people that are in crisis or in need of treatment is very important. David, I'm going to look to you and ask you about, how does peer support services within the residential department differ from like the other clinical services that are provided either by a case manager or a counselor?
Okay, so peer support services offer a lived experience outlook on maybe the diagnosis that they may be going through. Mm-hmm. The benefits of peer support are helping people self-advocate for themselves, also connecting people to resources and work, goal setting, how to outreach and engage, and also face-to-face recovery, recovery coaching. Also, I was going to just want to go back to what Leigh was saying about the lived experience part. Leigh is, she's on the front lines of addiction, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm on the front lines more of mental health. And we both have that background. She has the addiction background. I have the mental health side background. And having bipolar for 34 years, and also some of her background, self-medicating for 26 of those years, I'm able to offer the client a perspective on their recovery and what that looks like, and how help them relate through my lived experience. And I do tell them my story. I'm very transparent about it because, again, that helps them at ease, and that helps them to look at it from a different perspective about how what steps do they need to take towards a recovery such as I did, or something similar to what I did.
Sure. Well, when we come back from our next break, we're going to talk a little bit about the prevalence of behavioral health and substance use disorder co-occurring or happening at the same time with the clients that you're serving, but also talk a little bit about the harm reduction clinic, and also what types of services we're providing in the residential that can carry over into the outpatient space as well. So we will be right back with Leigh and David. Don't go anywhere.
Who are the people that serve part-time in the Ohio Army National Guard? We are your neighbors and friends. We are your sons and daughters. Our service is providing us valuable job skills, and it pays up to 100% of our tuition. We're proud to serve our state. We are your Ohio Army National Guard. Learn more about part-time service with the Ohio Army National Guard at nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
I was given a prescription opioid pain medication, and within only a few months, I was completely addicted. I lost everything. I had to leave school and stop playing sports in college, and I started to watch my life slip away. I want people to know that these drugs are addictive. One prescription can be all it takes to lose everything.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RxAwareness.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark, and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Feeling stuck because of your criminal record? Get unstuck with Opportunity Port.
I wanted a better job and a safer place to live. Opportunity Port helped me seal my criminal record, and now background checks don't hold me back.
Apply for criminal record sealing through your phone today and get on with your life. Visit opportunityport.org to learn more.
The process is free. What are you waiting for?
Sponsored by Opportunity Port in cooperation with OAB and this station.
Hey, everybody, we're back with Leigh Limongi from Let's Get Real and David Blaine from the residential department at the Nord Center. Both are certified peer support specialists, and we're going to jump right back into the questions. And I want to go back to something David was talking about earlier. You know, you talked about Leigh's experience or lived experience that she brings to the table and how it, I would say, for lack of a better term, complements, only because my assumption is that there are clients out there suffering from both substance use disorder and behavioral health. And can you talk about the benefits of peer support specialists? And is it important for a peer to have both mental health and SUD, or do you actually does it work out better to be able to refer clients to Leigh or vice versa to David and such? So maybe talk first about what you're seeing in terms of both diagnoses being present in our clients within the community. Leigh?
Sure. It's seriously hand in hand.
Yes.
I also have a mental health background too, so I'm dual diagnosed, and a lot of the majority are dual diagnosed. So I don't know percentage wise, but
I think it's about 50%.
It's might even be more than that.
Yeah, and you almost have to look at it like people with high blood pressure and cholesterol.
Yeah.
You know, you don't just treat the cholesterol and not the high blood pressure.
Exactly.
And I think it's in this instance, Dave, and you started to talk about it earlier, about being able to treat the whole person.
Yeah, because it's a holistic approach, and you know, like she said, most co-occurring diagnosis, most people have co-occurring diagnosis. And like you said, you treat one, you treat the other. And with the mental health background, when I first got certified as a peer supporter, there was it was either mental health or you were, addiction side as well. But now years ago, I went to a recovery conference in Columbus, and now it's all dual diagnosis.
You know what?
It's all co-occurring diagnosis.
You're absolutely right, and that tide is starting to change because mental health and substance use disorder used to be treated in silos. And we're seeing with the Ohio Department of Mental Health, we're seeing in our own county when the two, the ADIS board and the mental health board came together several years ago, that they're recognizing there's benefit to treating both of these diseases with the same types of resource and care delivery models. So I appreciate you calling that out. Leigh, talk to us about what that initial interaction is with somebody that's coming in with either a mental health or substance use disorder. What's your priority when you first work with them?
My priority is just to make them comfortable. They're already going through so much, I just want to make them comfortable with me. I want them to trust me and open up about what's going on, not hide anything.
Sure, not too dissimilar for what a counselor or clinician might do is establishing a relationship, because without a relationship, you really have trouble advancing their recovery. And David, you talked about recovery earlier. What does recovery look like? I think sometimes when people think of recovery, they think of, I'm cured. And that's not necessarily the case here. In fact, it's at most times not the case. It's about providing the clients with a level of coping. And I'll stop there and let David talk a little bit more about recovery.
Okay, I wanted to just also, Leigh's doing a great job, by the way, and I want to tell her that you're right about the rapport. The rapport is so important. It seems to me peer support, there's no competition, but when we can build that fast, that trusting rapport with the client is so important. And I want to say the positive, I want to just bring out the positive, or I would like to talk about the positive effects of peer support.
Okay.
It gives a client a sense of belonging and support. It gives them increased self-confidence, introduces them to positive hobbies and interests, and it reinforces positive habits and attitudes. So like she said, making them comfortable, not having them concentrate on their illness or, right off the rip, talking about, what they're going through, because they're going through a lot and they need support right away. They need somebody that understands. if somebody can give them that helping hand right away.
That's great information. Do you think that, both of you have told us a lot about what peer support specialists are, but are there some rumors or urban legends about what peer support is, and do some people come in not understanding what your role is? Leigh, you're nodding your head.
I've heard paid sponsor before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, I've heard that a lot.
I heard that too.
But we're so different than sponsors. To be a peer support specialist, you have to be so open-minded.
So, real quick, before you go on, so I was trying to process paid sponsor, but when you're talking about a sponsor, you're talking about
athletic. Alcoholics Anonymous.
They both begin with A. You're totally fine. Okay, great.
Which is a great thing, but not everybody chooses that pathway, and we have to be okay with that. We have to follow what pathway they choose, and hopefully steer them in the right direction, for their recovery.
So what do you tell them? I am not a paid sponsor?
Yeah, I'm not a paid sponsor.
Sounds like a disclosure
driver.
on a commercial.
Yeah, we're not Uber drivers either.
No, that's really when peer support first became popular. I remember when I was first in treatment, we had peer supporters come and talk to us at our IOP, and I was like...
So you've said IOP twice.
Yes.
What is IOP?
Oh, it's intensive outpatient treatment. Thank you.
Yes, no problem.
But I'm sorry, I'm using...
That's okay.
I hate it when people do that too. But yes, so when I was in IOP, that's when I met my boss, and she came in, and I just listened to what she said, and I loved it. Some people take it the wrong way. I loved everything about it, so that's what I wanted to do.
Great. So, David, we know that Leigh works in the harm reduction clinic. You work in residential, but where can peer support services take place? Is there a specific location, or is it something that it's not really about the place, it's about the how and when?
It's about the how and when, and it's definitely about the connection. It's about connecting with the client, even if it's going to their appointment, taking them shopping, whatever it may be, in a group setting, as such. It's just like, getting that connection, first base, having it set, and then just working slowly at it. You can't, peer support is just like not overnight.
Sure.
And I also wanted to add that peer support has also been called recovery coaches, peer support specialists, peer recovery supporters. These are terms that, that have been used. But peer support is everywhere. I wanted to say peer support is everywhere.
Peer support is everywhere. You heard David and Leigh say it. We're going to take a quick break and come back to talk about how they got into this field. And we're going to talk briefly a little bit about our harm reduction services where Leigh works over at our Clifton Avenue building. So stick around. We'll be right back.
I wanted to quit for so long, but I didn't know where to start.
I was afraid of what people would think, but then I found the right support to start my recovery journey.
I found a path that worked for me.
1 in 14 Americans reports experiencing a substance use disorder, a treatable medical condition. Treatment can take many forms, so there are a variety of options to explore and find the one that works best for you. Recovery from drug addiction is possible. Visit cdc.gov/stopoverdose to learn more about the various paths to recovery.
Have you transformed your life in the years since being convicted of a crime? A pardon could help expand your career choices and increase volunteer opportunities. You could join fellow Ohioans who have received a pardon with free support from our experts. Learn more at ohioexpeditedpardon.org. That's ohioexpeditedpardon.org. Sponsored by the Ohio Governor's Expedited Pardon Project in cooperation with OAB and this station.
A fraction of a raindrop. 3 grains of salt. At up to 100 times more potent than morphine, the tiniest amount of illegal fentanyl is all it takes to cause an overdose. Fentanyl can be mixed into heroin, cocaine, pressed pills, meth, and other drugs. It could be in your drugs, and you wouldn't be able to see it, taste it, or smell it. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Who are the people that serve part-time in the Ohio Army National Guard? We are your neighbors and friends. We are your sons and daughters. Our service is providing us valuable job skills, and it pays up to 100% of our tuition. We're proud to serve our state. We are your Ohio Army National Guard. Learn more about part-time service with the Ohio Army National Guard at nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Hey, everybody, we're back, and we've got 5 minutes left chock-filled with information, and we're going to get back to our two guests, Leigh Limongi from our colleagues over at Let's Get Real, a peer support agency here in Lorain County, and David Blaine with our residential department at the Nord Center. So you have done a great job of explaining the role of peer support, how one, why it's so important to develop a relationship with our clients. I'd like you to tell our audience or the people watching this podcast why you got into peer support, and then we'll go into, all right, that sounds really awesome. I'd like to know how I can get involved. So, Leigh, let's start with you.
Sure. Well, when I first got into recovery, like I said, let's start here. Everybody they were doing things for me, people that I didn't even know, know, and I never knew that before. And so I was like, people are helping me. I want to help people. So that's how it started. I knew that I wanted to give back any way I could. So I was volunteering places and everything. And then when I was at IOP, my boss, Kim Eberly, who is awesome, she came in and talked to us, and I immediately was drawn to her. Her personality.
Sure.
She was real with us. She was one of us.
Let's get real.
Let's get real. So immediately I found out what I needed to do to go and work for her, because I wanted to work for her so bad. And I did what I needed to do. And
great. Thank you for sharing that. David, what brought you to peer support specialist?
Actually, being a client at the Nord Center for over 30 years, an old case manager said that she had noticed that I've been doing pretty well, seeing me in and out the doors of Nord. And she had mentioned, she said, I think you make a great peer supporter. And I was like, what do you mean, give me a job? I've been coming here so long, I might as well get a job. So I was like, well, that's how it happened. And I took the training, and I did it because I know what it's like as a client to go through, or what my peers go through, and I wanted to just offer them recovery, because recovery is beautiful.
That's great, David. So let's talk a little bit about what's involved in that training, or because so most of us have heard certified peer support specialist. There's actually a state certification. Can you tell us a little bit about what's involved?
What's involved is OMAS now holds the training for peer supporter.
And OMAS stands for Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Correct. And they have an online training you can do, and then there's a 40-hour week training after that. And then there's a state test that's not too hard. It's multiple choice. And after that, you're set to be a peer supporter. You do have to apply. You give an application. And then, like I said, you go through that following training. Maybe like 16-hour webinars, then a 40-hour week training, and then a small test, and then you're certified.
Wow, that's awesome. Leigh, I wanted you to take the next 30 seconds and tell us about the services and hours of operation of the Harm Reduction Clinic over at Clifton Avenue.
Yes, the Harm Reduction Clinic. We are open 5 days a week now, Mondays and Fridays from 1 to 5, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10 to 2. We do a lot of things there. We have a needle exchange. We do safe smoking kits. We do wound care. We have a nurse and family planning that come in every Wednesday and do different testing, HIV testing, Hep C, and STD testing. And we have hygiene kits that we give out. We are hopefully going to get a food bank in there pretty soon. And it's just wonderful. It's been wonderful.
And the purpose of the Harm Reduction Clinic is not only to provide these services, but also provide a portal of entry for people experiencing substance use or mental health episodes. And at times they can be, you've had some success stories. I think you emailed me last week about a couple that is now going into treatment.
Yes.
So if you You can go to our website, nordcenter.org / and I'm looking over at my producer here, / harm reduction, or just Google harm reduction Nord Center.
Once you get on the website, you'll find it.
There you go. That's the infamous Betsy Com over there. David, one quick thing before we leave.
I just want to go back to what I was saying about becoming a certified peer support specialist. You do have to have a background of either substance use or mental health, mental illness to become a peer support specialist. Not just anybody can become a peer support specialist.
And that's good information. And just so you know, 25% of our workforce at the new Crisis Receiving Center are going to be peer support specialists because they'll be able to build those credible therapeutic relationships with the clients coming in. So we are at time. I want to thank Leigh Limongi from Let's Get Real and David Blaine from our residential department. It has been great discussion. I hope you have learned a little bit about peer support specialists, and we look forward to talking to you next month here on the NordCast. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thanks, Don.
The proceeding was a paid informational program. The views and opinions expressed were not necessarily those of the staff, management, or advertisers of WOBL Radio.